everyone. Welcome to Love and Marriage with Seyi, where we celebrate thriving marriages and sow success seeds and wisdom nuggets for growth. Thank you for being with us today. I am so glad that you are here with us today. Welcome and thank you. The magic of a good marriage is in the mystery of the good marriage. I think one of the biggest mysteries in life is the ability to just accept people for who they are. Not asking them to change or be anybody else. Just accept them. That is the biggest expression of love. Our couple today personify that. They have simply accepted each other and they are cruising down the joyful lane of a happy marriage. Now, have you also ever thought about a marriage having a business part to it? Well, we'll hear more about that from our couple today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. and Dr. Mrs. Jegede. They have been married 43 years. They are the parents of 3 adult daughters. They have 3 wonderful sons-in-law and they're blessed with 8 grandchildren. Nowadays, they find the most joy nurturing and enjoying each other. But in their spare time, you can be sure to find them riding and enjoying life on their custom Harley Davidson. Join me as I welcome Mr. and Dr. Mrs. Jegede. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Jide and Dr. Mrs. Lola Jegede. We are delighted to have you here. Let's begin. Now, this story is 43 years in the making.
Yes, to the glory of God.
How did it get started?
According to my recollection, it started in 1975, so that would make it 43 plus almost 5. That would be about 48 years. Our school came to my school. They came to award in the game. I saw our school and some of our friends in particular cheering. I said, okay, something must be there. So my story, that's where we started.
Your story, ma'am?
It's kind of the same, but to add to what he said, after that he came to my high school looking for a girl, which he sent me to call the girl. But I went in there to call the girl. She didn't want to come. So I went back and I told him what the girl said. He left that day. And another time, I was walking on my street. He actually ran after me saying, oh, Dokun's junior sister. But I mean, I wasn't Dokun's junior sister, so I didn't answer him. But he persisted, he followed me.
You are posing. She was posing. She didn't want to look back. As a matter of fact, I didn't run after you. I was like, hello, because I was on the second floor and she was going. But she wouldn't budge, so I had to go after. You find a good thing, according to the Bible, you run after.
So you said you just saw her cheering for you in a game?
Yes, that's when I saw her.
What made her stand out to you?
Then the rivalry, when you go for a game, you're supposed, even if you like the team, you're supposed to hold back because that's your opponent. But I guess as God will have it, they were cheering for me because I think it was volleyball. I've always been 6'3", and they set the ball for me and I smacked it on there. And I'm like, okay, that makes her feel good. She did make me feel good.
Ma'am, now tell me, ma'am, how have you kept him feeling good 43 years and counting?
Well, we do things together. We nurture each other. And we go to conferences, we attend seminars on marriage, love and marriages and all that. We believe in love and respect, and we believe in intentionality to really do what we say we want to do, and not just hearing what we hear at the conferences, but actually act on them. And that makes it to be it.
At the beginning, how did you know he was really interested in you and not just another guy?
What actually happened that made me realize that this would be my husband? I studied catering and hotel management, and my family about to open up a restaurant for me to start my career. And he was working at that time. Did you know that he gave me a month's salary that added to whatever I needed to do to start the restaurant? And I'm like, if he really could do that, it's so kind, generous for him to do that, and it makes me think that this is it.
Why did you choose to invest so much in her?
I'm kind of racking my brain. I can't even remember I did that, but she has a big brain. She remembers things. I don't. And it must have been just act of kindness, like, okay, you want to do this? So anything I did, someone have to remind me that I did.
Yes, you did.
And I'm hearing for the first time, so.
And let me ask you, were you dating at the time?
Yeah, we were dating then, yes. But something unique about us is we were friends, very deep friends. Because I found her very, very charming, and also too very classy. You don't get friends like that anymore. And I didn't even know we were in love, because I never experienced that kind of love until later that I realized what love is actually about.
Now, ma'am, how did you maintain your self-confidence enough to not display any kind of jealousy?
I just trust God. I know that God shows me things that I needed to do, and I just leave it all to God.
You are not that godly then.
I was. I just left it to God for Him to direct me. I just trusted Him as a good friend. He didn't even propose to me before we got married. We were just friends until that point. He did not. Yes. Up till now, he hasn't proposed. So I'm waiting.
How did you marry him if he did not propose?
We're just good friends. We just love each other. We liked each other, moved into love.
I was going to say we bypassed that. Our friendship was so deep that there was nothing more to add. But we were so deep into each other that nobody else could have fit into the equation the way she fitted into my equation then and up to now. Yeah.
How can folks out there develop such a close friendship?
3 basic rules for me then. You got to let me be. If you can't let me be, you cannot enjoy me.
And you mean accepting you for who you are?
Yes. We didn't have any playbook, no manual to follow. It's just little nuggets that I got from my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. She told me, this is what you see in friendship, this is what you get. But she didn't identify whether a wife or just a regular friend. So when I saw everything that I was looking for in her, she's charming, because boys at that age, you can't cancel me. If you're not attractive, forget about it. I didn't care whatever is inside you. You got to be attractive. I got to find you charming. I'm not saying put on makeup. No. I should just open my eyes and feel like, oh, and I got it.
How do you guys keep your marriage going?
The expectation in my family, because when I look at my entire family, most of my extended family, they had options. And I knew I wasn't going to have any option. And I made it clear there's no option. There's no plan B, there's no plan C, there's no plan A. This is who I am. And the good thing is, I was able to tell her everything about me. She said, nice little girl. I said, you know what? I really like the jeans on that lady. And then she just smacked my hand like, you like the jeans or the leg? I said, both. So she let me speak out my mind. And once I let you know what I'm thinking, that's the end of it. Because most boys, I went to boys' school only. We see something and we're afraid to say it, and then we start nursing feelings. But once I voiced out my opinion, I'm gone. I'm gone. And then the other side of it, the business side of our marriage, it's an investment. And part of our investment are our 3 daughters and 8 grandchildren and 3 sons-in-law. So 3 plus 3, that's 6 children that we have, plus 8 grandchildren. That makes it 14, if my math is correct. Mm-hmm. We owe them a lot so that they can stay well in their marriage. So we've got to stay glued to each other so that they see us as a worthy investment in their own marriage. So it's not about us anymore. It is about our investment, because when you're about to retire, you watch your bank account. We retire now, so we're watching our children. Our children are our bank account with the grandchildren. Yeah. Because there's a lot going out there. If we don't showcase that this is the way to go, then we shouldn't be surprised if they go. So many alternatives out there today. So a marriage at this level, when you cross to 65, between 55 and 65, it's not about your marriage anymore. It's about those kids.
You have to go to show godly examples.
Yes, because they are the disciples that God asks us to breed. Breathing disciples that they can do God's work. So if we don't do our job, they won't do their job, and the grandchildren won't do their job. So,
and we cannot do this on our own, in flesh. We have to look up to God to help us, the Holy Spirit to direct us in doing all of this. We cannot do it on our own.
That's it. And that's what led us to making sure we give back to the community. Because the more we share our love stories, the more we help in other marriages that they think they can't handle it. Yes, we can handle it. I wasn't always like this, so don't look at me as holy. No. I walked my way into it, and thanks to my
God
wife.
changed him.
Yeah.
How is it that nothing makes you feel disrespected or threatened?
Well, I am who I am. I was brought up to be courageous, not to be jealous, because I know who I am. I know that what God put in me, nobody can take it out of me. I was just being myself.
I think she's more just comfortable in her own skin.
Yeah.
And maybe then she had a way of just suppressing the act of jealousy or what have you, but never showed on her face. And that's one of the ways to conquer most of women, because when people start nagging you, we run away. And because she didn't nag me, she never nagged me. And up to today, I'm so comfortable. That makes her feel good. And I respect that. And just because of that, I'm always very open to it.
Now, he seems to have a sixth sense about you, and looks like that just makes you appreciate him more and more.
Not all the time. Not all the time. And if it doesn't go the right way, I have to let him know. I have to call his attention to it. Because if he's not in my brain, he's not in my head. He doesn't know what is going on inside of me unless I tell him that this is how I feel. And even if he addresses it, if I'm not 100% okay with it, I will let him know until we get to the base of it and have it settled. I will go to the extent of Love Bank in explaining this to you. It was even before then. It was after I realized that this is what was going on that I equated it to Love Bank that was developed by Dr. William Hurley in 1986. The motion behind that is that he actually said that every one of us have a love bank inside of us that has an account for everyone. that account, it's either that person withdraws or deposit in that account. And he has deposited so much in that account, even up since then, that his threshold is above zero. If the threshold is above zero, you always fall in love, not falling out of love. That's what it is.
To know that.
So you are saying that he is a good giver? Is his giving always financial?
No, it could be helping me in the house, doing some things and what have you. It does not have to be. I'm not a very good gift receiver. He can help me do some things in the house, take me places and what have you. Not necessarily financial. Not even flowers. He knows I don't like to be given flowers.
And it was later that I realized that is our love language, act of service.
Yes.
You do something for her, she wants to run errand. Up to now, I don't let her lift anything. She goes to the market, she has to leave everything in the car. And when I'm done with what I'm doing, I'll go empty it because I don't want her doing the man's job. Okay, it's good enough to stay pretty as she is, to stay charming as she is. I don't want her to lift or do anything that would deplete.
Now, we all know that communication is very important in a marriage. How has the power of communication played out in your marriage?
I'm very analytical. I want everything structured. She wanted kind of not too structured. So we butt heads sometimes because I'm like, you got to write it down. She like, I told you already. So since I know my traits, I know my communication style, I know our communication style, we've been working to accommodate each other. And it's rubbing on because a lot of times like, oh, I told you. You told me? Yes, look at your text or look at your notes. And then she's like, oh, yeah. So she latched onto that and she's able to do the same thing for me. So when I'm fumbling, she'll be like, no, look at your phone. I sent it to you. So we're able to pick up because the best communication as far as I'm concerned is something written down that confirms that both of us are aware of the situation. So that's something we've been working on and we keep working on it. And that's a great thing for us. Write it down. The brain will fail, but when we write things down, we always go back to it.
How do you butt heads and come out winning?
I mean, it's very clear to both of us at the beginning. We're going to butt heads. And we always say, I'm going to offend you tomorrow, I just don't know what it is. I said not lifting the toilet seat up or washing my hand by the sink, not wiping the place. But most of the time it's like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, so you didn't. And then we just explain to each other. The other thing is, no matter what, we can argue, we can do things, whatever. We still have to hug each other. We still have to kiss each other. I cannot wake up on the bed, whether she's sleeping or not, I still have to kiss her, even though we have issues to resolve. Okay, and then it's like two things in our marriage, in our love life. There's the business aspect of our marriage, and there's the emotion aspect of our marriage. All the argument, they fall on the business. All of that things, like making love, hugging each other, being nice to each other, fall on the emotional side. So the two don't cross. So the fact that we have issues to resolve doesn't mean we're not going to make love to each other. And passionately. Unlike most couples, they fight, it gets into the emotional equation of the marriage. Not for us.
How is it that he tells you what he thinks you need to do and you don't come out feeling like, forget you, you're not my dad?
She does.
Well, not all the time, but sometimes, men can be pain in the what.
Yes.
So acceptance is what plays the major role. We have to be able to accept each other's faults. We have to be able to be there for each other. Even if he doesn't do it right, I just have to let him know. I let him know, and we have to work on it until it is done right. And we move on.
How do two strong individuals like you come together and make it work?
when you have a true friendship in each other, it's just a matter of time when you're going to rub on each other. I had my master's long time ago in urban design construction, and so many companies, they're looking for me to come work for them. And my wife, we like, oh, I want to be this. I said, don't worry yourself. You got a first degree too before we got in here. And I knew that if I don't bring my wife up to my level and above my level, my children will suffer. Because men, we don't have time to sit in the house to go through homework. When they call the house, my wife pick up the phone. So that encouraged her to go do another degree in nursing. And then I encouraged her. She did her master's and said she wanted to do a PhD. I said, go for it. And so, why don't you want to do it? I said, my profession doesn't, PhD means nothing in my profession. Because in America, it's about productivity. And I was bringing in millions for my company in New York, because I had about 8 states that I covered then. So doing our PhD was something that God just blessed us with, and it affected the children positively. So I thank God for that.
Now, the book of Romans encourages us to prefer the other above ourselves. It looks to me like this is what's going on here. Would you say that that is a good practice for marriages?
It is the best philosophy, because anytime you do something for yourself, you don't really get good blessing from the God. You got to do it selflessly without expecting anything back. And where best to start? Your best friend, your best companion. You start from her, and that way God can bless you. But in doing so, we were stupid when we were younger. I did this for you, what are you going to do for me? But once I realized that no, you don't get full credit when you expect something back. Just do it. So I went all my way to always do things, never expect her to say thank you. And she caught up on that, and so that's just no plan B, no plan C. Just have to keep doing, and God has been so great to us, because in doing so, we have a set of twins, and they've been in their marriages for 22 years, and the other one 20 or 21. And our last one, she's been married for 15 years now. And we do marriage enrichment. They question us, I question them, and we all have one vote. Sometimes we vote, and sometimes they're like, Dad, you knew Mom was going to be like that. I said, yes, I do. They always remind me. I said, look, that's my wife, that's my friend. But it's my mother. I said, no, she was my friend first, and then we found you.
So what I will add to that is that we really have to be supportive of each other. God is his father-in-law, and God is my father-in-law. So whatever we do to each other, either positively or negatively, we're doing it to God. So we really have to think about that God is the father-in-law that we have to impress, not even any of each other, not any of us.
Yeah.
So support each other.
And God loves when she smiles, because I don't know when she smiles and when she's not, when I'm not home. But if God is looking, which he does all the time, I get credit for it. And when she's sad,
you get the slack too, huh?
Slack. So I don't need to worry about that. Just keep doing it.
That is awesome. And so I'm thinking about a couple out there. They're going through a rough patch. They don't like each other right now, and they certainly don't feel like they're in love. They're thinking of throwing in the towel on their marriage. They think they've come to the end of the road of marriage. What would you say to encourage such a couple at this time?
You want to go first?
Yeah, what I would say to those couples is that prayer cannot do it all. Prayer is important, very, very important, but faith without work is dead. So they need to reach out for help, or counselors, or belong to a certain marriage group that you don't have to wait until there's a problem in your marriage before you belong to a marriage group, or before you reach out, enrichment, or before you reach out to a counselor. I mean, it's just to nurture yourself, to bring yourself up, because you want to be the change that you want to see. So you really have to start it like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Couple of nuggets. The first is to establish a rule. It's not too late. Okay, we have people that have been married for more than almost 50 years. And we were able to tell them that, look, you can put the 50 years behind you and start instead of splitting. And then just establish rules. And don't just establish a rule for a rule's sake. Make sure you're able to comply. And you don't have to have so many rules. And one of them, like I said, is separate your emotional love life from the business aspect of it. And you have to find a way to keep the hormone in your wife flowing so that the countenance and the temperament can be where it needs to be. And you guys, you have to find a way to make sure you are accountable to a father-in-law that is not human, that is God. And if you're not a believer, I don't care what you believe. Have it in mind that there's someone that you need to be accountable for, that is not visible to you, but the person can see you, and then take it like that. The second thing, depending on the phases of your marriage, you need to belong to a group. We belong to the Marriage Enrichment in Atlanta, Georgia here. Take active role in such a group, because when you take active role, you're on the stage. Then you start to perfect your own mistakes, because there's a lot of people looking up to you. They think you have it made. You need to let them know, I'm learning from you. And when you do it regularly, you just see that you start to transform. And practice it. Don't be shy. Because a lot of people, when we go places now, we make people sit on each other's lap. They be like, I can't do that. I said, yes, you can do it. My wife be like, let me take the picture. Or she's the one ushering them to sit down and taking the picture. We're helping ourselves. Because in the process of doing that, then my wife's like, oh, you haven't taken my picture all day. So I know you. But then it's telling me that she's been taken for granted. Then I said, okay, let's go take your picture. We'll do things like that. But being that happy, it keeps us going. And then by the time we get home, I've got to do something. So that's part of things you get. The other thing is don't stay within the walls of your home. Because we ride motorcycle up to now. We get on the holiday meeting, we go for breakfast downtown, or we just ride around, and we go camping too. Because sometimes when you're in the bush or you're just camping in a very small space, you can't run away from each other. You're forced to talk. Mm-hmm. You're forced to touch each other. You're forced to help each other. You know, doing dishes, doing something. So get out of the norm. Find somewhere to go that will force you to see things differently. And read a lot. Read a lot of books on personality so that you understand each other. And don't try to change anybody. That's one thing that worked for us. She never tried to change. People got to be who they are. Nourish your marriage. Take it for maintenance by attending seminars and talking to people, and find other couples to help. Because when you're helping, you're actually helping yourself. Yes. I think that's what I can remember for now. And sex is very important. Never outgrow sex. Okay? Let me reverse it. It's not the sex, it's the love making. Because a lot of people, they make mistakes. There's a difference between sex and love making.
Also, to add to that, for you to keep your marriage going, whatever needs to be resolved, you need to sit down and talk about it. There's a process to it. You have to be able to repent, tell your spouse what you think you've done wrong, and acceptance. Be acceptance of what you are repenting about, and your spouse also need to be acceptance of what it is, and you have to forgive. Very, very important. Forgiveness. Even when you forgive, it doesn't mean that you forgot what it is, but you're trying to put the past behind you and move forward.
Any parting words for each other before you leave?
I always find you charming. My day could be as wretched as it could be, but once I get around you, you have that swagger in you, or the smile, or no, you just playful. So if I have to do it again, the chemistry is so right. She let me be. She let me, and I always appreciate that, and I don't take it for granted.
Anything you'd like to share with me?
Yes, very, very compassionate man. Not even at home alone, to friends, to neighbors, co-workers, and just name it. Very compassionate. He likes to help people out. He doesn't want to see people having problem that he can solve and waiting for them just to look at them for looking at them sake. He wants to jump in there and help them solve whatever problem that needs to be solved, and he does that at home.
Mr. and Dr. Mrs. Jegede, it has been awesome having you guys with us this evening. Thank you so much for all the nuggets you've shared with us. Thank you for the openness in helping us see the beauty in your relationship. We just want you to keep shining as the stars so that more can see and learn from you. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
very much,
having
and
us.
we appreciate the opportunity to learn things that I didn't even know from my wife today. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your program.
And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. For my love and marriage hopefuls out there, once again, we never know when it's going to happen. So the best you can do for yourself is just do life where life finds you. Make sure you're beautiful. Make sure you're just being a blessing, just enjoying and thriving where you are, because you never know where Cupid's arrow is going to find you. And for those of us in marriages already, let's go on ahead and intentionally begin to draw the lines between the business and the emotional sides of our marriage. They shouldn't cross. Regardless of how I'm feeling about something you've done, let it not affect our emotional part. It's the emotional part that glues us, that makes us to become, as the Bible says, one. So let's separate them, and let's always walk together knowing that, hey, we are one now, and we are going to keep it together as one for God's glory, because of our investment, our children and the ones behind us, and just for the sake of enjoying life. Friends, it's been awesome this evening. Hey, if you've enjoyed our program, go on ahead and be sure to subscribe to this channel. Beyond that, share the link, spread the word to your friends, because we all need to work on this love and marriage institution. It is a beautiful institution that God has given us, and we want to make certain, as best as we can, that those in such relationships strengthen and just keep on enjoying their relationships. I'll see you again Tuesday, April 25th, 8 o'clock. Mark your calendars until I see you then again and beyond. The good Lord bless and keep us all.